You've survived another week. Thank you for listening, downloading, and supporting the Black Man with a Gun Show. Did you know that at one time this show was called The Urban Shooter? He's going back. He's coming back. I'm going to tell you why. This week on episode number 520, while most of my friends are getting their cowboy on at the NRA annual meeting, I'm going to talk about gun laws. Michael J. Woodland is going to hit it a little bit. I'm going to talk about some gun laws that were also known as the Black Codes from the 1700s and laws that influenced us all the way till 1988. For those in the community that have considered or do take some weed, we're going to talk about weed and the gun. Yeah, man, Dave's not here. All this and a little extra coming up next. This is the Conscientious Weekly Podcast that talks about firearms and things of interest to the gun community. Don't let the name scare you. This is the pro-fun, pro-gun show with history, commentary, news, interviews from all over America. Hi, my name is Ken Blanchard, and I've been a gun rights activist since 1991. And you just discovered the show with over 1.7 million downloads, with celebrity guests, new products, and good people making a difference. After John Wayne leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance, let's get this party started.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This has been an incredible week for me. I've actually cleaned up my studio. I'm learning Audacity. I'm learning Hindenburg journalism. I am learning, I still have my garage band hooked up. I'm actually working it, doing some editing for some other people, producing and helping the Women's Gun Show, and coming into my own. Only took me a long time to get here. But I had some realities. I had some thoughts. I had some stuff that kind of came into my mind. I'm going to share that with you in a hot second. I'm hoping that you're doing all right wherever you are. If you want to contact me, feel free. My email address hasn't changed in a minute. blackmanwithagun@gmail.com. And I'm looking for subscribers for something new that's coming down the pike. There'll be a link to it in the show notes. Also, go to blackmanwithagun.com for more information. Thanks. Leadership. A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Sounds good, right? At the time of this recording, it's April the 28th, 2017. The NRA annual meeting in Atlanta, Georgia is happening about right now. And there are literally thousands of people who are celebrating the right to keep and bear arms, celebrating freedom, celebrating community. And there's also a lot of strife and animosity and one-upmanship and all the stuff that's kind of really big right now in culture. If I can go deep with you for a minute, most of our disappointments are internal. I'm speaking for personal stuff right here. What holds you and I back is often the negatives, the fears, and the baggage we carry. Believe it or not, nobody is keeping you down but you. Whatever someone said has already disappeared into the atmosphere like a vapor. It's just words. It's your mind that holds it and replays it over and over again. My question is, how far could you go if nothing or no one was holding you back? I learned recently that it's okay to need help, and pride is not your friend. We live in a world of skepticism, sarcasm, and ignorance. It has always been this way, but it just seems to me as if it's more pronounced today than it ever has been. There is still much beauty in this world, but we choose not to see it, to display it, to share it. Instead, we focus on the rude and the lewd. We doubt what is true. We prefer the lie. We make, quote, alternative facts. We use humor to mock what's good, innocent, or nice to be around. We lack the knowledge to appreciate what we have. And because everybody is doing it, it seems okay. You know, a skeptic is one who refuses to believe without direct personal experience. What could you achieve if you weren't holding yourself back? How far could you go if you weren't afraid of failure, looking stupid, or putting your talents out there? All you need to do that is courage. Somebody cool said, if you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion, for passion will lead directly to your purpose. This is the 520th episode of the Black Man with a Gun Show, also known as the Urban Shooter Podcast. That doesn't mean a lot, except for I've been around and doing the gun rights thing since before Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Yeah, I was talking about gun rights in the black and brown communities before Coleon Noir could even legally hold a gun. That goes with Argo J, Maj Toure, Marcus Weldon, Allen, and quite a few brothers that are doing really well right now. But a big so what on that, right? Just being a mountain man and the frontier guy don't mean nothing after the skyscrapers and stuff have been built, the city has been made, and folks are making millions. Nobody recognizes that guy with the beaver hat and the musket. So I had a lot of thinking to do over the last couple of years. And almost every 100th episode, I'm going to stop this thing because I can't figure out my purpose. I got the passion. I'm an instructor, always have been, a teacher, a patient person. But you know what? I forgot some stuff. I forgot that you're supposed to use what you have, use the talents and the gifts that you have, and that my leadership is what's required. I'm here to make others better so that when I leave, the impact of all my work lasts. So I actually esteem all those guys I just mentioned, Coleon Noir, Barack Ulrich James, Maj Toure, Marcus Weldon Allen, Rick Ector, all the brothers who are doing similar or better. That's what it's all about. Just recently had a chance to talk to about 20 people at the National African American Gun Association's chapter meeting here in Maryland. And my hats off to Phil Smith for doing that. Got a chance to meet Stephen Yorkman and some really cool people locally who are trying to get it all together. One of the things, though, I have to watch out for is that just because I've tried it and done it doesn't make me an authority on it. Doesn't mean that it won't work now. So I got to not make sure I don't steal the thunder or try to poo-poo an idea that I've already done. Because I have been there, done that, and bought a T-shirt on just about everything. I am and have been trying to make a difference. I just defined that for myself just recently. So I'll be inspiring and helping other people, a lot of ladies who are also doing their thing. Didn't want to leave you out as I'm rambling here. But I think you understand what I'm saying. In short, I'm back, baby. In this concealed carry world that we just began to acknowledge that I helped start back in 1992, I'm going to get back into the training mode, but I'm going to be doing more advanced stuff. If you want to carry concealed, if you want to do some, I'm not going to say it's high-tech, low-drag stuff. I'm talking just defending yourself on a personal level in an urban environment. That's my specialty. I've done it in 15 countries around the world. You will rarely see me with a AR-15 because I only used one once, and that was in the Philippines. My strength, my gift, my experience is in handgunning. Handgunning for self-defense. Handgunning for VIP protection. I think it might be a little time for some history. What do you think?
This portion of the show is sponsored by CrossbreedHolsters.com. Crossbreed Holsters has gained national recognition as a maker of the best and most functional concealment holsters available on the market today. Each holster is handcrafted to ensure your firearm is safe and secure while carrying, combined with the best customer service in the industry. Visit CrossbreedHolsters.com.
Let's start off with some generic gun control laws in America. United States in 1792, black persons were excluded from the militias. Louisiana Rule, 1806 and 1811, slaves cannot use any weapon, even in self-defense. South Carolina, 1819, Slaves cannot possess guns without the master's permission. Florida, 1825, 1831, 1847, and 1861. White citizen patrols empowered to invade and search homes of any black person to look for and take any guns or other weapons. Florida, 1825 and 1828. Delaware, 1831. Black persons must have a license to carry a firearm or have a judge's approval. Virginia, 1831. Maryland, 1831. Georgia, 1833. North Carolina, 1844. Mississippi, 1852. Guns banned applies only to free black persons. Continuing on with that one. Florida, 1840. Texas, 1840. North Carolina, 1845. Mississippi, 1852. Georgia, 1860. Guns banned, but it only applies to slaves. These are actual laws, also known as the Black Codes. Mississippi, 1865. Louisiana, 1865. Blacks must obtain gun licenses from local police. Alabama, 1866. Total gun ban and applies to black persons only. Tennessee, 1870. 1879. Arkansas, 1882. Maryland, 1968. Ban of all inexpensive handguns, or the only kind of guns that blacks can afford. United States law, 1875, Supreme Court rules that federal government has no power to protect black citizens against private, quote, non-government attacks on their rights. Alabama, 1893, and Texas, 1907. High taxes on sale of handguns to prevent poor blacks and whites from buying them. South Carolina, 1902. Ban of all handguns except for police and their deputies. Mississippi, 1906, and the current federal BATF, Yellow Form 4473. Sellers of firearms required to keep records on buyers. The records included indication of the race of the buyer. I personally am waiting for that day when nobody cares what color I am. But I digress. New York, 1911. Police control who can buy guns. Permits frequently denied to minorities. At the time, this was Italians, Irish, black, Asians. Anybody who wasn't in the establishment at the time. Florida Supreme Court judge admits that gun control law aimed to disarm poor black persons. That was from Florida, 1941. 1968, the Gun Control Act, passed not to control guns but to control blacks after the race riots in California, New Jersey, and Mississippi. Illinois is 1988, Virginia, 1990, United States, 1994. This law wasn't passed. Maine, 1995, and this law was struck down. Gun bans, warrantless searches of public housing, confiscation of firearms, and effectively drives poor people of the right to possess firearms. They actually tried that in these years. Let me read something that was published way back in the day. An avowed anti-gun journalist by the name of Robert Sherrill frankly admitted that the Gun Control Act of 1968 was, quote, passed not to control guns but to control blacks. He said the Gun Control Act of 68 was passed not to control guns but to control blacks, and inasmuch as the majority of Congress did not want to do the former but were ashamed to show that their goal was the latter, the result was they did neither. Indeed, this law, the first gun control law passed by Congress in 30 years, was one of the grand jokes of our time. First of all, bear in mind that it was not passed in one piece, but was a combination of two laws. The original 1968 Act was passed to control handguns after the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. had been assassinated with a, quote, rifle. Then it was repealed and repassed to include the control of rifles and shotguns after the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy with a handgun. The moralists of our federal legislature, as well as sentimental editorial writers, insist that the Act of 1968 was a kind of memorial to King and Robert Kennedy. If so, it was certain a weird memorial, as it can be seen not merely by the handgun, long gun shell game, but by the inapplicability of the law to their deaths. And this is from a quote that was published in 1972. In 1988, the fifth Saturday Night Special economic handgun ban passes, banning, quote, Saturday Night Specials or inexpensive handguns. 1988 in Illinois, poor citizens were singled out for gun bans in Illinois. Starting in late 88, the Chicago Housing Authority and the Chicago PD enacted and enforced an official policy called Operation Clean Sweep, which applied to all housing units owned and operated by the Chicago Housing Authority. The purpose was the confiscation of firearms and illegal narcotics and consisted of warrantless searches and a visitor exclusion policy severely limiting the right of the CHA tenants to associate in their residences with family members and other guests. Tenants had to sign in and out of the building, producing to the police or CHA officials photo ID. Relatives, including children and grandchildren, were not allowed to stay over, even on holidays. Tenants who objected or attempted to interfere with these warrantless searches were arrested. The ACLU filed a lawsuit seeking declaratory and injunctive relief on behalf of the tenants of the CHA against the enforcement of Operation Clean Sweep. The complaint was filed in the U.S. District Court for the North District of Illinois' Eastern Division on December 16, 1988. Yeah. A consent decree was entered on November 30th, 1989, in which the CHA and the CPD agreed to abide by certain standards in which the scope and purposes of such, quote, emergency housing inspections were limited. 1990. Poor citizens singled out for gun ban in Virginia. U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Virginia upheld a ban imposed by the Richmond Housing Authority on the possession of all firearms, whether operable or not, in public housing projects. The Richmond Tenants Organization had challenged the ban, arguing that such requirements had made the citizens 14,000 public housing residents second-class citizens. That was in 1990. 1994. President seeks to single out all poor citizens residing in federal housing for a gun ban. This was under the Clinton administration, introduced H.R. 3838 in 1994 to ban guns in federal public housing, but the Housing Banking Committee rejected it. Similar legislation was filed in 1994 in Oregon and Washington state legislatures. In 1995, in Maine, poor citizens were singled out for a gun ban in Maine. Portland ME gun ban in public housing struck down April 5th, 1995. And while I'm talking about urban housing, did you know that a person who's convicted of having a small amount of marijuana in a government housing complex can lose their Second Amendment rights for the rest of their life? Marijuana. The federal government is stepping up its efforts to keep guns out of the hands of marijuana users, even as legal use of the drug is spreading across the country. And I got this out of bearingarms.com from my man Bob Owens. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives long has prohibited gun and ammunition sales to unlawful users of marijuana, citing a risk of irrational or unpredictable behavior. Now, the federal agency has added a warning to Form 4473, the one you use when you buy a firearm, making it clear to anyone applying for a permit to buy a gun that marijuana remains illegal under federal law, and using it means you cannot buy a gun, despite laws in Maine, Colorado, and all those other states that allow medical and recreational use of the drug. Now, a new language added recently has raised concerns that the government might be unfairly denying cannabis users their Second Amendment rights.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the United States Concealed Carry Association.
That the federal government classifies marijuana,
The USCCA has been providing education, training, and self-defense insurance to responsibly armed Americans since 2003.
Marijuana users
Join Tim
who
Schmidt
lies
and
in the
myself
form and deny their cannabis use,
at
whether for medical
usconcealedcarry.com.
or not, will face federal charges. Lying on a federal gun purchase is a felony, punishable up to 5 years in prison. Question 11E on Form 4473, which asks if the buyer is, quote, an unlawful user or addicted to marijuana or any other controlled substance, now has a warning printed below it in bold type that states, the use or possession of marijuana remains unlawful under federal law, regardless of whether it has been legalized or decriminalized for medicinal or recreational purposes in the state where you reside. And as Bob so eloquently states, it's not an ambiguous position, and the court system has upheld the validity of the federal position. Unless the federal government passes a law that removes marijuana from classification as a Schedule I drug, you are still considered a, quote, unlawful user under federal law, regardless of what the state laws may say, and you could face a federal prosecution for lying on your Form 4473 if you are caught.
Who is it?
It's me, Dave. Open up, man. I got the stuff.
Who is it?
It's me, Dave, man. Open up. I got the stuff.
Who?
It's Dave, man. Open up. I think the cops saw me come in here.
Who is it?
It's Dave, man. Will you open up? I got the stuff with me.
Who?
Dave, man. Open up.
Dave?
Yeah, Dave. Come on, man. Open up. I think the cops saw me.
Dave's not here.
No, man. I'm Dave, man. Hey, come on, man.
Who is it?
It's Dave, man. Will you open up? I got the stuff with
Who?
me. Dave, man. Open up.
Dave?
Yeah, Dave.
Dave's not here.
No, man. I am Dave, man. Will you... Come on. Open up the door, will you? I got the stuff with me. I think the cops saw me.
Who is it?
Oh, what the hell is it? Go, man, open up the door. It's Dave.
Who?
Dave. D-A-V-E. Will you open up the goddamn
Dave?
door? Yeah, Dave.
Dave?
Right, man. Dave. Now, will you open up the door?
Dave's not here.
Oh.
This portion of the show is brought to you by the United States Concealed Carry Association. The USCCA has been providing education, training, and self-defense insurance to responsibly armed Americans since 2003. Join Tim Schmidt and myself here at usconcealedcarry.com.
Here's a good time to talk about the beef between the USCCA and the NRA. But I'm not. Mike, you're up next.
Thank you, Ken, and welcome to another Tips and Review segment. I am Michael Woodland of m-wtactical.com, and today we're going to discuss changes in the gun law. One of the biggest debates going on right now in South Carolina is the law that allows people to open carry in public. Me personally, I do not see what the big deal is, because when you talk to people about this, everyone says the same thing. People are going to go around just shooting people. That is far more from the truth, but let's look at it from a few standpoints. There will be a number of people practicing this right as a fashion statement. There will be a few people who will do it and do not like the attention they will get, and some will. Throughout my time around firearms, I have seen some people use it as a tactic as they are bigger. Some people will practice this right and will not do so again because they do not like the attention given to them. Understand that when you carry a firearm legally, whether it's concealed or open carry, you are held to a higher standard when the law is concerned. There are a few states I lived in where open carry is legal, and the results with shootings were no higher than that of a state that does not. Georgia is a state that has open carry, and when I practiced carrying openly there were no issues. Just like that in Virginia. Of course, when you see a 6'5" black guy with a gun carrying in an open manner, it will bring eyes to you. If you ask me, I do believe concealed carry is better because the way society is going, it is pretty much dangerous to open carry for anyone. One concern I do have with people who will practice open carry is the stance of if that person has had adequate training with their firearm. Then again, that should be a question for anyone who sees someone with a firearm. If your state legally allows open carry and you decide to practice open carry, please take the time to seek out a reputable firearms instructor and understand how your firearm performs properly under a trained instructor. You never know. The life you may save could be your own. Tune in next week as we tackle another area of marksmanship for another tips and review segment. Thank you for all those who follow and support the M-W Tactical Facebook page. If you haven't done so, look us up on Facebook and hit the like button and join in on the many discussions that are taking place. We are trying to reach our goal of 2,000 likes before the end of the year. Tell your buddies to get on Facebook and hit the like button on the M-W Tactical Facebook page. If you are more into photos, follow me on Instagram at MJ Woodland, where you can get an up-close and personal involvement of my daily life and involvement at a shooting range. If you would like to read more about us, do so by going to www.m-wtactical.com, where you can easily connect with us on any of the previously mentioned social platforms while looking at pictures, viewing future classes, emailing us, or even listening to the current week of the Black Man with a Gun podcast. For those who want a more direct approach, just call us at 803-250-1256, and let's discuss whatever is on your mind, from shooting classes or just inviting us out to your upcoming event. Until next week, keep shooting, keep practicing, and have fun. Back to you, Ken.
Thank you, Michael. Check out gunpodcastnetwork.com. A network is supposedly a grouping of multiple shows under the same umbrella, and it gives everybody opportunity for exposure, branding, and cross-pollination that they can never get alone. There's been quite a few people who have tried it and failed. I'm going to add it to my list of tries, except for this time I kind of know where I'm going to go with this one. Unlike the gun movement, which required input from people, I know where this one's going. So if you have a podcast or you're a YouTuber and you and I kind of click, think about becoming a part of Gun Podcast Network. I'll be promoting your stuff using my 20 years online to help push you. But I got to warn you, this is not a Facebook group. This is a business, baby.
This show is part of the Gun Podcast Network.
Yeah. If you're interested in learning what I got going on between the training and the promotions and the preaching and the teaching and the Gun Podcast Network and more, because you'll be seeing more training. I'm not going to be one of those guys fighting for attention. I know what I know. So I'm going to have to just let those who want me find me. And if you have my email address, or if I have your email address, I can send you out the personal stuff. So that's why there's a new push for a sign-up sheet. You'll find it at blackmanwithagun.com if you want to be included in the number. True leaders always practice the 3 R's: respect for self, respect for others, and responsibility for all their actions. I wouldn't have got this far without you. I want to special thanks to my patrons. You guys have personally put a stamp on support here. You kept me through the lean times. And sometimes when I think nobody else cares, money talks. Because see, when the bills come, and I go, see, I shouldn't even be doing this. And then there's you. So thank you for supporting this podcast. Thank you for supporting my mission, my work in gun rights all these years. You can become a patron too at patreon.com/blackmanwithagun. Thanks for considering it. This is Ken Blanchard, your friend and brother from another mother. And just in case nobody has told you this today, I love you. Not a damn thing you can do about it. Until next week. Shalom, baby.
1, 2, 1, 2. Check it out. Check it out. 1, 2, 1, 2. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Some are used constructive ways, and some of them are used in productive ways. Let's not misuse and corrupt their ways. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Some are used constructive ways, and some of them are used in productive ways. Let's not misuse and corrupt their ways. This the same story, but a little twist to it. I teach you about a gun and the proper way to use it. They tell on y'all lies, so please don't confuse it. It's not all about shooting up with rap music. Guns are not for robbing and flashing in the hood. Some turn cowboys like Clint Eastwood. I'd rather that they use their brain, but they don't think of that. They rather take lives like a kleptomaniac. They don't think about the time to infatuated with paper. Too busy trying to be smooth like Belvy with a chaser. It's time for me to face you and let you know that that nonsense is not hot. Some too busy trying to run and evade the cops. I understand that guns are made to pop. Some just try to shoot and get juice like pop. Someone tell me when the drama and the nonsense stops. When, man,
Guns don't kill people, people kill people.
Some are used constructive ways.
Yeah.
Some of them are used in productive ways. Let's not misuse and corrupt their ways. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Some are used constructive ways, and some of them are used in productive ways. Let's not misuse and corrupt their ways. I'm about to go ahead and set it off and sound the alarm. They're trying to take our rights so we can't bear arms. Congress can't amend it, that's not the solution. We got the right to have guns, that's in the Constitution. I know they're perpetrating, I see the nonchalant interrogations. That's what got me investigating. I know exactly what I'm facing. That's why I got the NRA, the National Rifle Association. So we fight for rights, so a firearm that we can own. Any king of his house should protect his throne. Ain't really being violent, y'all getting us wrong. I feel like this whole song has been written in stone. They're acting like guns created crime. Crime been here since the beginning of time. So I speak my mind, ain't got time to be silent. Putting down guns ain't the solution to violence. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Some are used constructive ways, and some of them are used in productive ways. Let's not misuse and corrupt their ways. Guns don't kill people, people kill people. Some are used constructive ways, and some of them are used in productive ways. Let's not misuse and corrupt their ways.